Welcome. In this video, I'm talking about how to spot 10 red flags when it comes to a female with borderline personality disorder, and I'm talking specifically about intimate romantic relationships. And at the end of this video, I will give you my best advice on what to do if you are trying to avoid this type of relationship. If you like this video, please take a moment to click the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you don't miss anything. This information is for educational purposes only, so if you need support with your specific situation, please reach out to a mental health professional in your area who specializes in personality disorders. Okay, so let's dive right in. First off, the red flags displayed by the female with borderline personality disorder can vary greatly depending on what type of BPD she has, the severity of her symptoms, and whether she is receiving treatment for her personality disorder. And I say this with emphasis because when it comes to cluster B personality disorders, there are often overlapping symptoms and or co-occurring disorders, making it incredibly complex even for mental health professionals to figure out exactly what's going on. So instead of focusing on whether your partner has borderline personality disorder or any other disorder, just focus on behavior and whether that behavior is toxic and tolerable to you. So here are 10 general red flags that you will typically see with a female BPD partner who is not receiving intensive treatment. Okay, so red flag number 1 is that she is idealizing you. In other words, she loves, admires, and appreciates everything about you and puts you on a pedestal. There is an extreme sense of intimacy and connection that you probably have never felt before. She lights you up mentally and emotionally and makes you feel really special. She gets you and is massively into you. And she will say and do super sweet and thoughtful things that, again, probably no one has ever done for you before. And she likes everything you like. She has the same goals, values, and vision. And you think, wow, where have you been my whole life? And you'll be having the soulmate twin flame conversation almost from the get-go, because she comes across like the missing piece that will make you and your life complete. But the reality is that she doesn't know who she is. Her sense of self is blurry and unstable, so she is blending into you and or trying to become your ideal fantasy woman. It's like she didn't even exist before you came along, and in some ways she didn't, because she was blending into the last person she was with. And she's like a mirror. She is reflecting all of your best traits and qualities back to you, which gives you the sense that she's bringing out the best version of you. And chances are with a BPD partner, you will be making plans for your idealized future together within the first few dates. So the relationship is on turbo speed and you don't want to slow it down because she makes you feel like you're on top of the world. Flag number 2. You will experience a frequency and intensity of sex that you didn't think existed in reality. With an impulsive type, it will start right off the bat. You'll probably be having wild sex multiple times a day, being woken up in the middle of the night for more, and she'll likely tell you that she never does this, have sex on the first date. But she will with you because she knows you're the one and can't resist you. Red flag number 3. Weird things start to happen, and this is pretty quick. At first, it's just micro shifts, barely noticeable, but your gut is telling you that something is not quite right. So let me give you an example, but remember that this is just one of many possible examples. So the BPD partner will want to know everything about you and ask strange and detailed questions about your past, especially past relationships. And initially she'll act cool and neutral while you're answering these questions, but you'll probably see some small shifts in her. And these micro shifts can be, just a really quick change in facial expressions, in her body language. It might be a comment or a reaction, but in the beginning she'll rein it back in really fast. But this will not last long. Unlike the person with NPD, who can put on an act in public or hide their symptoms when they want to, the person with BPD is a lot more impulsive, intense, and emotionally dysregulated, and they won't be able to mask it for long. So these small negative shifts in her are, activating your spidey senses. Another thing on the topic of exes is that later in the relationship, she will have you comparing her to your ex and getting reassurance from you that she is better than her, you love her more, and all these kind of things. And there will be extreme jealousy if you have any type of platonic relationship or civilized co-parenting relationship with an ex, which will almost certainly lead to a lot of drama. Red flag number 4, in the first few weeks of the relationship, she will open up about past trauma, rocky relationships in her past, and be very vulnerable with you, like putty in your hands. And if she knows she has BPD, she will probably tell you. Unlike the narcissist who prefers to hide their weaknesses, the person with BPD is much more likely to tell you about their problems. And this vulnerable side of her, this honesty, activates your protective hero instincts and almost instantly gets you more emotionally invested in her. So in the beginning, she will treat you like a god, like an angel, a superhero, a teacher, and the safest person she's ever met. And soon you will find yourself reassuring her and promising to never do anything to hurt her and to do everything in your power to make her feel safe. She puts herself in this submissive, inferior role to have you take on the responsibility of managing her emotions, making her feel safe. Personally, I do not believe that the BPD partner is doing this with ill intentions to purposely manipulate you, but rather truly seeing you as someone who can save her, at least initially. And obviously, this is as long as she's not also a narcissist or sociopath. If you pull away ever so slightly, even if it's just to spend a bit of time with your kids, your family, friends, without constantly texting her, she will emotionally pull away and sexually pull away. So it's like this obsessive, childlike neediness for you, followed by almost complete rejection and abandonment if she feels even a slight shift in your energy. And this is very typical of BPD. Red flag number 5, although the female BPD partner may be acting like a mature, confident adult with great communication skills, they can quickly flip. And you may see her literally shift into a childlike state. This can include physical shifts or talking in a childish way. And if you see this type of emotional regression and complete communication breakdown, take it as a massive red flag. You may feel like you just entered the twilight zone when you see this. And if your BPD partner does not regress emotionally, you will still see extreme emotional shifts. And you will be thinking, whoa, what just happened? She will be melting down emotionally, and she can become quite aggressive and irrational. Here you may see deflection, projection, ultimatums, gaslighting, and other destructive emotional communication tactics. And there is no reasoning with her. Even if you stay as cool as a cucumber, things will continue to escalate and can get physical in more extreme cases. There may be throwing, breaking, destroying things, hitting, and these shifts are really out of proportion and out of touch with reality. To you, it's so off the wall. So I'm not talking about an emotional reaction to something that, maybe you shouldn't have said or done. Here I'm talking about when your hands are clean, like you did nothing wrong, and she is going off on you like you just killed her cat or had sex with the neighbor. And the more you try to explain or bring it down, the worse it gets. And you realize that she is not sharing in the same reality as you. You may spend hours trying to convince her that it's not what she thinks. But no matter what you say, it's like she is gone. So keep in mind that some types of BPD turn their anger inward. So what you see externally can be a bit different. So these outbursts may not be extreme rage, but extreme anxiety, stress, guilt, shame, and can turn to self-harm. So what's actually happening here is that when she is emotionally dysregulated, she may actually be emotionally regressing and or dissociating and experiencing a temporary disruption in her perception of herself and of reality. Flag number 6. After an emotional outburst, it may be hard for your BPD partner to admit fault, but if she does apologize, it will likely be profuse, dramatic, and filled with shame. She may sincerely tell you how terrible she feels, but she is more likely to be talking about how terrible she is and how unworthy she is. This is shame. And next thing you know, you may find yourself apologizing or reassuring her that her nasty or abusive behavior wasn't all that bad. If she's not apologetic, she will remind you of her past trauma and blame you for triggering her insecurities while justifying and excusing herself. Then you will probably find yourself treading very lightly, walking on eggshells in an attempt to avoid triggering these insecurities and having to deal with these wild, irrational fits of anger, jealousy, hurt, or whatever. With the BPD partner, regardless of who takes the blame, after an episode, there will almost always be a repair and aftercare period where she is back to the amazing, nurturing woman you fell in love with. And this can last a while. And it can be to the point that you may think things are actually changing for the better. But this cycle of rage followed by intense affection will go on, making you feel like you are on an emotional roller coaster. Red flag number 7 is self-harm and threats of suicide. This is not to say that self-harm and suicidal tendencies can't happen in other disorders, but it is estimated that 65 to 80% of people with BPD engage in some type of self-injurious behavior. So it is a red flag. Red flag number 8, she creates loyalty binds between you and your family, you and your friends, you and your coworkers, and maybe even between you and your kids. And it is common for her to devise scenarios and conflicts where you need to defend her to your loved ones. And if for any reason you don't agree with her, take her side, or defend her, you will be seen as a spineless weakling who does not know how to take care of a woman. So in time, you may find yourself isolated from family and friends because it's just not worth the hassle. Red flag number 9, you realize you are losing yourself or have lost yourself. You probably know you're in a toxic relationship, but you've got so much invested and you're still holding on to hope that you can save her, that things can get better. But you're mentally, physically, and emotionally drained. You are exhausted. You may look fine on the outside, but on the inside, you're probably feeling anxious, depressed, resentful, suspicious, and deeply flawed. Red flag number 10, she cannot be satiated. She is never satisfied no matter what you do, and you have the same repetitive fights and conversations that she's not happy. She needs more from you. She needs more from life. As promised, my best advice if you're trying to avoid getting involved with someone with BPD, especially someone with untreated BPD, just slow things down. Don't just say you want to slow things down. Actually do it. Take a step back. Spend a bit of time doing things with your friends, your family, or just things you're passionate about without her, and see what happens. And I'm not talking here about pulling away completely in some kind of weird way. I'm just talking about doing a few things here and there with other people that, you used to enjoy hanging out with. And just see how she reacts to that. With a relatively well-adjusted person, there may be some conversation about what's shifted, but it'll be that, a conversation. And your needs will be respected, or you'll compromise on what you both need. With someone with BPD, If you slow down the relationship, it will trigger their fears of abandonment and rejection, and she will either pull away from you completely, end the relationship abruptly, or things will get really strange really fast. If there are other red flags you've seen or experienced, please write them in the comment section below. And if you want to learn more about borderline personality disorder, please check out my playlist on BPD.